What's going on, everybody? Matt the Lumberjack Landlord here. You will hopefully not see technical difficulties today, but there is higher likelihood of technical difficulties because we are taking a different approach than we normally take. So super excited to have you here today. Hopefully this is absolutely awesome. But what we wanted to do was, in interest of always try and create better quality content, we wanted to upgrade our plans and do a bunch of stuff like that. And kind of the crazy thing is when we went to go do that, Zoom was an arm and a leg. So I was just like, yeah, we're not doing that. And quite frankly, their technology, it's all right. So Millennial Mike, there you are, my brother. Oh yeah. We're gonna bring you the best of the best when it comes to the Lumberjack Landlord. Yeah. That's the most I got for you this morning. But wanted to jump in here. We'll kind of see how this goes this morning. But again, always appreciate your guys' patience as we try to expand and make the brand better and greater, etc. Give me just 1 second here. I'm trying to. Here we go. Where's show chat? Exit full screen. Yeah, a little bit of a, okay, all right, I get it. Now I see how it runs. All right, so we'll play with that a little bit. But anyway, guys, super excited to have you here with us today. As you guys know, I'm the Lumberjack Landlord. And so what I wanted to do was kind of take you guys through the jail project, all the work that we're doing on the jail project. This is what I talk about when it comes to development. It's not really my personality type. Because it's really slow and it's really dragged out and it's a lot of back and forth and just craziness. There's just a lot of moving parts and pieces to it. And so in going through that process, we had talked about there's something called a site plan. Site plan basically says, here's what the site is, and here's what I'm going to add to it and do to the outside and make changes to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what's really funny is that when we talked to the city, because we bought the property from the city, they said, nope, you're not going to need a site plan. You're good. So we went in to go to do the, what's called a variance, which is, or actually it's called a CUP, change of use permit. We went down that process, down that road of the process, if you will, to get that CUP approved, change of use permit. Change of use permit, how it differs from a variance is a variance has a much higher level of standing and a barrier of entry. You have to prove that it's financially, it doesn't matter if it's financially harming you, but you have to prove that there's a higher and better use of the property than what the code or the zoning allows for. Suffice to say, that is a very, very, very high barrier of entry. A change of use permit is a much, much, much lower use or much, much, much lower barrier of entry. And so you use a change of use permit when it does apply, and you can put yourself in a position where you say, I want to, as an example, the code in the city is that first floor buildings in this zone must be commercial. And the challenge for that is that we're always trying to look at highest and best use. So highest and best use in the jail is there's this ground floor unit. It doesn't have outrageously high ceilings. It's actually absolutely perfect for to get housing for some disabled vets. And so for me, veterans, as you guys know, I have a tough time talking about veterans. I got a lot of friends that are vets. I have a tough time talking about it. And so we're just going to get through that part as quickly as possible because I always struggle through it. Long story short, we want to give back to vets. We want to make handicap accessible or handy chair or wheelchair accessible units. There's 2 opportunities to do that in this building. We want to leverage that space to do that. And believe it or not, that's not something we can just go do. We actually have to get something called either a variance or a CUP, a change of use permit. So we're going down the process of getting the change of use permit. I have spent thousands of dollars, having the attorney file all the paperwork, cross all the T's, dot all the I's. The town said, actually, we do need a site plan. As soon as they said that, I was just like, that's $3,000. And so we're coming in on $3,000, but we're providing that change of use permit. or information. We did provide the site plan, and so now we go for our hearing. I think it's in a couple weeks. I think it's in a week actually. So our hearing's in about a week. And I'll then give you guys the update. But our hope is that when we go to that council member or planning meeting, our hope is that it is all clean. And so awesome. Thanks, Mike. So the idea is that we will get that approval then. When we do get that approval, hopefully when we get that approval, we already have blueprints done. We already have design plans done. At that point, I can start lining up contractors to get them in and actually start the work. I'll have to fill out a permit. Permit is going to be outrageously expensive. The permit's going to cost, I think the plans or something like that was like $3,000 I had to write a check for. This is what they say is the big boy game. Not really sure I love it. But yeah, we've already done that. So we're all in. We're about $10,000 in. We've not done anything yet. We've not done, actually we're more than 10. We're closer to 20. We're closer to 20 grand in. So we haven't done anything yet. And so we'll see. We'll go through the process. One of the things that I will tell you is, while I don't love writing the checks to the attorneys, it's by far the best way to do it. The reason why is just like I do with an attorney for the stuff that I'll do for if it's a higher end case, or there's more at risk case on a landlord tenant side, finding that attorney. And so I work with a number of attorneys in the area, but this one particular attorney, he is in front of them usually 6 to 7 times a year talking about some development project. They know him, and he has a very good track record of getting things approved because he understands the rules. And so we're not wasting a bunch of time. We're not wasting a bunch of money. I'm thankful that it's not some other attorney that's not done this process before, because I can already see some missteps that would have been made. But he's done a fantastic job. So I'm super excited to be on that and going through that process. But now we'll see. Like I said, it's about a week away, and we'll see what the planning department and the city council has to say. And then if we're good, then we're good. And if we're not, then you guys will hear about it, because I'm going to take you through the entire process so you know exactly what the steps are for development. Again, just another teachable moment for you guys on my dime, which I am all for. If any of you guys want to pay for it, I'm more than happy to have it be on your dime, but that's really not what we do here. So that's okay. So yeah, fantastic to, oh, nice. Good. So excited to have you guys here today. So now let's talk about, Black Friday. Oh man. It's stupid. It was so crazy. But one of the things that we always talk about is your best use of capital. We call it the buck method, best use of capital. People often get confused at really what the buck method is. Best use of capital. That can be for anything running your business in any way, shape, or form. The best use of capital, the buck method. The best use of capital is, do I spend my money buying another property where I get a 12% or 15% return? Do I spend my money rehabbing a unit where I get a 20%, 23%, 25% return? Do I spend my money on materials or products that I know I'm going to use over the next year? What's my return on that capital? The rock method. Black Friday is one of those unique opportunities where we as landlords that were running our business, whether you've got 1 unit or you've got 100 units, obviously, if you have 100 units, it makes more of an impact than 1 because anything would. That being said, when we looked at it, we said we took some time to do projections. Okay, we need to upgrade a number of the door locks because we haven't done all of them yet. So the number one thing I spent money on this year, the number one thing was door locks. Door locks. We just hit the 2-year mark of that Defiant key setup. We love it. We've only replaced one that went bad. And so we went with that Defiant keyless air gapped door setup, the ones that I presented on in the Black Friday video. You guys can see that. I won't run you through all the products again. But on those, they were about $42 or so. And I think we bought about $2,500 worth of those things. Because we want to make sure that we know what projects we have coming up this year. We know that we've got a certain number of units that we need to get through and upgrade. And for us, we pretty much count on the fact that it's going to be at least a couple of those per unit. And so over the course of this year, we look at between new construction and existing units, we're going to do about 50 of them. So we bought or 60. So we bought, I think 75 of them right around there at about $40 a whack. And so, it took us right about $2,500, $3,000. I forget what the exact final count was. But that was one of them. The other things, the other stuff that we also did, that was number 2 on the list was, vanity lights. Vanity lights was a big thing this year for us. And when you buy the vanity light, you want to buy a bunch of the light bulbs with it as well. We took advantage of all that stuff being heavily discounted. So the light setup that we bought was normally $99.95 or $99.99. And we bought, I want to say more than a dozen. We probably bought 18 at $60. So that saves us, a big chunk there. Some appliances. We knew that we have a unit coming or some units coming that needed appliances. So we bought some appliances. They have a special on some of those things where they were just crazy reduced pricing. But there were a lot of things, like I said, there was stuff that, was $14.95 and they were on sale for $7.50. I mean, absolute insane pricing. Toolkits. We look at over the course of this last year, we will have tools get daily use and they're pretty abused. The bigger issue, believe it or not, is that I think a lot of the tools, a lot of people don't know this, a lot of those tools that you get, it's really a battery delivery system is really what it is. They want you hooked in their battery system. So the tools, while they cost money, it's really the batteries that they make all the margin on, believe it or not. So that's what they're out there trying to really sell is those batteries. So if you look at it, we can upgrade some of the tools, but we get ones that have decent add-on battery kits. The other thing too is that we also want to make sure that we kind of have what we call go bags. We want to have always a couple go bags per person. My wife has a go bag. I have 2 go bags. So depending on what the issue is, I can run out and go get those things. It makes all the world of difference. So if you look at it, I think, I was teasing my wife. I said, I'm literally going to do a video this morning about how I spent 10 grand and it saved me 11. We look at it too. And we look at what the cost is of getting somebody out there to help with a door lock or having to drill a door lock or having to go do a late night, drop off of a key or let somebody in. That stuff happens. Thankfully in our business, it doesn't really happen. And how does it not happen? Yeah, you guessed it. Because we have electronic door locks. So the Defiance for us, 2 years in, that I won't push a product and talk about a product until I know that it's worked for us on a broad scale. So kudos to Defiant. They've given us a low-cost solution, an air-gapped product, and one that is only $40. What does a really good, schlag regular door lock cost you? With none of that functionality, you're right up around the same number, $30-$40. So now I have the ability to deliver digital, and I can do it for about $40. So there are still some available. I would take a look at that, and hopefully that will help you guys. But the thing that I really wanted to talk about in all of that is really the ROC method and the buck method. So ROC is my return on my capital. And the buck method is the best use of my capital. And when you use the two of them together, no matter what size business you have, people will say, it's only $20. That's $20, man. I earned my $20. So for me, every single thing, and it just makes bigger and bigger of a difference. But if you can get in the habit of doing it now, better planning, better foresight, looking at what you're going to do over the course of the next year, it's not like it takes a ton of storage to store the things that I bought this year. At my scale, I have the storage, but even at your scale, you can probably do it in a couple of 27-gallon totes, which, by the way, were also on sale from $11.99 down to $9.99. But you can do that sort of stuff, and you have a couple of those totes, and that gets you a lot of what you need. So the thing that I would constantly encourage you guys to do is always be looking at your business and evaluating your business and understanding there's something in the business world called forecasting. Forecasting is forecasting, basically telling what you're going to do over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. And so when you're understanding that process, it's it's a normal business practice that's used everywhere. It's something I really wish a lot more real estate investors would do. The bigger ones do it because they're a real business, and we are real businesses too, the smaller landlords. So for me, I use that forecasting to understand what's my next year look like, and how many of these locks do I need, and how many of these lights do I need, and how many of these things do I need, because I'm not borrowing the money to pay for those things, but my best use of capital is absolutely, if I know that I'm going to be doing these updates and these rehabs in these units this year, because they're not going to do another binder strategy with me, or I really just don't want them as a tenant anymore. I need to be prepared to do that stuff. The same thing with the Sunco lighting. Those were $14-15 a light. And I think in my latest order, I paid $6.76 is what I think I paid. And I had to buy a couple hundred, but people are like, oh my gosh, a couple hundred is ridiculous. It's not. Watch this. 4 in each bedroom for a 2-bedroom apartment. That's 8. So 4 in the kitchen, or 6 in the kitchen, which is 1.5, and then you count the bathroom in there too, so that gets you 2 more, and then living room. So even if you're a tiny apartment, you just used up 20 lights. 20. So when I buy 200, that's only redoing 10 units. So again, I encourage you guys, run your business like it's a business. Look forward, be forward leaning, and I think that will give you a much better experience. It will give you the best use of capital. And it will also, most importantly, give you your best return on your capital, which is, if I can spend 10 and I know it's money I had to spend, I'm not a big fan of spending for the purpose of trying to get a write-off. If I need something, and then the likelihood, so I'm going to buy a vehicle in the next 3 weeks, I think, mainly because I don't want Mike to complain when he flies out again. But I'm going to buy a nicer vehicle. And the crazy thing is, let's say I spend 60 grand. Well, I get to take instant depreciation against the entire number, even if I take a loan out of it. That's not financial advice or taxing. I called my guy and he's like, yeah, even if you buy it for 60, but you get payments on it, you still get to take the full depreciation of the 60. Well, if I've got a tax bill of 30, guess what? It wipes that out, So that's what I want to do. I want to wipe out that gain. Those taxes owed. So then technically it cost me 30 grand. Now, it's going to cost me more money in the payments, but effectively that's what I'm paying based on what my tax debt would have been, etc. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful to you guys. And now we will jump into the questions. Oh my gosh, you guys were crushing me with questions. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And let me know what you guys think about the video quality today. We definitely tried something new today. Hopefully it's helpful to you guys. But like I said, we wanted to try and improve the quality. And yeah, hopefully it looks good. So definitely give me feedback there. Good morning, Anna K. Anna K first. Ooh, Dividend Dave. Yeah, there he is. When you bought the jail, did they sentence your money 25 years to life? That is the horrible dad joke that we're always counting on Dividend Dave to deliver. I hope they did. I hope they did. I will refi that debt. I just don't know when. Because the debt that I'm going to get on that property will probably be about 7.25, 7.4, 7.5. And so, yeah, the hope is that in the next 12 to 24 months that we are in a recession, then they do lower rates, then I can recap that money. And then if I do, hopefully I can get something down to the 5s. If not, the numbers still work great at 7, but if I can get it at 5, then the numbers work that much better. Obviously. And okay, 2 more hours. I forgot the live is 10:30 Eastern. It's 11:30 Eastern, but that's okay, Anna K. I'm glad you were here early. All-nighter. Almost there. Is everyone ready? I know I was ready. Millennial Mike. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hyder. Good morning. Richard. Good morning. Oh, wait. I have a cool feature. Check out this feature. Millennial Mike says, yeah. That's pretty cool. And then I can do this. That's interesting. Oh, I see. So then I can that's kind of cool. That's kind of a cool feature. Won't lie. All right. Very cool. Booger Fart Boy. I love it when Booger Fart Boy shows up. It's always awesome. It's always a good time. Fun at parties. Flavio, good morning. Sorry, Wealth Building Journey. Good morning. Good morning, Chester. Yoder, good morning. Laura, good morning. Dion, there's my buddy. Every time you hit the like button, an angel gets its wings. Truer words have never been spoken. That's interesting. So I can't really see that in there. Okay. We're going to just learn how that works. Let's see. Millennial Mike, Macho Man, Lumberjack Landlord. I know, right? I can actually do that voice really well. Macho Man was my favorite wrestler. Yeah, I watch wrestling. Want to fight about it? I get you for 3 whole hours. 3 hours of playtime. Nice. Robert Fairley, good morning, Matt. A little disappointed in these live streams. You are dropping gold, but when will I be offended again? Oh, I'm sure you'll be offended next week. I can't wait to see how that city meeting goes. I'm going to share everything with you guys. I hope it's good. But yeah, we'll see. REI Stoner is here, just working as usual. Words of a landlord. That's what I love. Multitasking. BuzzTune, good morning. Aloha, Mark Oshiro from Financial Firefighter. Good to have you. Greg Beesboer, good to have you back. The Yoder, as a superintendent for a GC, I would love a project like that. It's going to be a really cool project, Yoder. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. I'm super excited to do it. It's definitely, I've never had to make a plan to see how I was going to leverage jail cells. Now I do. And I'm kind of pumped about it. I won't lie. Matt wants to put vets in prison. Now that's giving back. Hider. Well, I know he's kidding. We all know that's not what I'm trying to do. Because that's obviously going to be the nicest. That's probably going to be the nicest part of the building. Ow. Sorry. If you see me wince every while, I got a shoulder issue going on. Jacob W. Good morning, Matt and everyone. What is the accounting firm partnership that you have to do cost segs would be good for me? I had a big renovation this year and wanted to check. Great question. So I'm going to do a video for you guys. I'm making sure that the link works for you guys. It's called DIY cost seg. I have a link that saves you a bunch of money. No joke. Give me a few days. I reached out to them because I went to go do my own cost segs. Guess what happened? My code didn't work. So I got a code for you. We'll send that over to you guys. It'll be awesome. And I know that it worked because we had 3 or 4 people already do cost segs. It will save you an absolute fortune. Make sure you're accurate. If you have any questions about your cost seg, that's what they have a Cleverly link for. You click on the Cleverly link and you ask them questions. That's what I worked with these guys to do. They have a Cleverly link that they will let us use. Literally set up a time. Cleverly, for those of you who don't know, it basically shows their calendar and the people that are available to chat. You just select a time and then they will actually engage with you and do a meeting with you to talk about your cost seg. Guys, if you are not doing DIY cost seg, explore it for any building that you bought this year. They will be honest and tell you, nah, not a good fit. Don't cost seg that. Or yes, good fit. You should be cost segging that this year. Please, 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 at least at the very least, look into it. It could save you an absolute fortune. Dear heavens. My kids broke my hat. They ripped the back off and they snapped a couple of the things and children. I love my kids. So yeah, DIY cost seg. Julie Anderson, remember to play the game, but don't put up with their nonsense. Oh my goodness, yes. Well, that's why I hired the attorney. I don't do nonsense well. I break things. It's not good. So that's why I hired the attorney. That's the best idea. Chris Wissing, gotta love the governmental money generator. I know, right? So it's really interesting. Again, I mean, not a dime. I mean, the government out of that 20 grand, I want to say the local government's gotten 4 of it, 3 or 4 of it to start. They'll get a lot more, but that's where they're kind of starting. I actually went out shopping for a few small things as usual, not even realizing it was Black Friday. Hider. We were so broke. We used to make that the event. So when my wife needed a new computer for school, this was back when we were beginning of when we were married. She needed a new computer for school and we could not afford one. So I was like, we stood in that line at Walmart, freezing our butts off, waiting in that line. They only had 4 of them available and we knew exactly where they were. Like I had game planned and we did. We got the computer. My wife used that computer to get through to get through college. It was huge for us. But yeah, without that Black Friday deal, we couldn't afford to get a computer. So remember when I tell you the first 5 years suck? There you go. First 5 years suck. I actually went out. Nope. Josh Coster. Hey, good morning, Josh. Josh, I saw your email. I owe you an email. We'll do something if we can in a couple weeks, maybe this week. But the new job, for those of you guys who don't know, sold the company that I worked for, and I'm working there, working on doing some relaunch stuff and some things like that. And so it's just an absolute boatload of work. And so before, where I had my job kind of really dialed in and I could get it done in my 40 hours, job isn't like that anymore. There's a lot more parts and pieces and moving stuff to it. And so the challenge for me is it eats into all the time that I used to spend doing this, because the one time that I won't lose is the family time. So that's why. Apologize. The schedule's been tougher than I imagined, but we're still working through it. Corby Carter, morning misfits, hit the like button, catch you in Futureland. Corby, always good to see you, my friend. Ninja Vanish 24/7. Good morning. Jacob, believe it's DIY cost seg. It is. Well done, BuzzTune. Good job paying attention to that stuff. I'm telling you, take the Cleverly link. If you bought something this year, you need to be talking to them. Don't use it without the code. I will get you guys the code. I'll put it out on my Instagram. I will put it out on a video, because we're going to do something for DIY cost seg specifically, or cost seg specifically. It costs you nothing to ask questions. You guys should be taking a 15-minute Cleverly call, or Cleverly. You should be taking a 15-minute Calendly call with them. You absolutely should. Just wait for the discount code, because I will make sure to get you one. I want to make sure you get the best benefit of that. Robert Fernelli, speaking of buck method, soundproofing on first floor, currently one sheet of 5/8 drywall. Should I just blow in cellulose to ceiling cavities, knock down every ceiling down to 1,000 square feet, two layers of 5/8? And Rockwool leaning toward A, because cost, time, and speaking of lighting, do you have a link for the lights on the first floor for the fireproofing? I can get you that link. I have to find it again. But yeah, I can get you that link. On the, I think it's, yeah, I don't see, I mean, it really is preference on that. The 2 layers of 5/8 versus 5/8 and Rockwool, or any combination thereof, it's really preference. For the cellulose is going to be cheaper than the Rockwool. The problem with the cellulose is it invites pests. You will get mice up there, and you'll hear them running around. Like, we live in New England, and when that temperature changes in the spring and in the fall, you're going to get mice. And when you do get mice, they're going to burrow in there. They're going to do all the things that they do in there. And so for me, I want an area where it's not comfortable. There's nothing in it for them to be. Rockwool, they can't eat it. They can't bury in it. They can't burrow through it. So I stick with Rockwool. And the double 5/8 is now code. You got to do double 5/8 for fire separation between units. And so, yeah, for me, the decision is Rockwool and 5/8. It's more expensive. But if I'm going and doing that project, yeah, I'm going to get all the wire harnesses set up to do the lights. Cause they work the same way as the normal pancake lights do. But yeah, that's what I would do if it were my project. Burger Fart Boy. I know B is better, but don't know if I can handle the cost. I get it. Totally get it. Yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it. Do you have to do it this year? Like, if it were me, then I might wait. If I get to do something right next year or do something less right this year, unless there's a real hard driver for doing it less right this year, I probably wait. Alyssa M, good morning. Good morning, Alyssa M. Alyssa has another beautiful baby. Alyssa, we have babies around the same time as each other. It's kind of weird. Unrelated. Dishes every day. Hit the like button, guys. Dishes every day. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. I always say it. Simon's probably my favorite YouTuber. He's talking about things now that are completely next level. Uneducated economist, for those of you guys who don't watch, why? But what he's talking about and what he's seeing in pricing in the lumber markets, in debt markets, I like him so much because he looks at things a lot the way I do. He looks at the financial slant and talking about people that and what they're doing and what they're saying, right? How they, and it's like he's very smart in picking up the things that they're not saying or the way that they said something. It does, in fact, make a difference. I'm getting ready for my next big tool purchase. I'm really, very excited about it, but it's giving me a little bit of agita because they're super expensive. All-nighter hider, GM dishes. That's right. AV is good. Fantastic. Yes, sharing comments is very cool. Yeah, I dig that. I know. It's so cool. Check this out. Yes, sharing comments is very cool. Cool. Richard Trong, good morning. Thoughts on using putty pads around recessed lights to meet fire code in top-bottom units? So that depends on local code. Depends on local code on those putty pads. For me, when you use a technique, so that's a technique, right? Using putty pads. When you use a technique, my concern always is, what if that technique then becomes no longer acceptable and then they make you change it, right? And then what would it take to then change it? So by using these lights, because they used to be $99 a piece, so it completely changed the finances of redoing a unit, first floor, second floor. However, they make lights now, they're only about $40 a piece, which is 4 times the price of a normal pancake. But now when I'm looking at 4 times the price, now I can do the 20 lights in a unit for $800 plus the cost of the electrician. So it's more expensive. But if you look at what you're paying to have those putty pads and utilize the cost of the putty pad and putting it together, et cetera, putting it up in the ceiling, blah, blah, blah. If you look at what the cost of that is, I think you'll find that it's close. And my concern always is it was like, oh yeah, well, we used to allow it to be done that way. Oh, and now I have to change it. Yeah, you got to go in and change it. That would suck. When they said, when it was like adding another layer of fire protection and having to add the other 5/8, well, that can just be done on top, right? Or in many cases, that stuff is actually grandfathered. So, not opposed to it, but more just like a philosophical approach of just when they tell you a way to do it, that might not be the way forever. And then that's something that they can actually get you to change. Other stuff, they don't necessarily get that opportunity. Ned Talks. Good morning, Ned Talks. Good to see you. Lumberjack Landlord and alumnus. There's a bunch of Lumberjack Landlord alumnuses in here. Financial firefighter, Brett the Hitman Hart for me. Like, I can't argue with that. Like, Hart went forever, man. Hart was forever. Hider, hold your city accountable, Matt. Don't let those swines give you any guff. Largely speaking, they are, we can work with them. So I'm interested to see this process, right? Hey, we love developers. We can't wait to have you develop more stuff in our city. Okay. I really look forward to working with you. Until I don't, and it's because something changed. And what is it that changed? And then how much did that cost me? So yeah, I agree. John Church. Hey, Matt, how would you handle properties on the same street as your property that are basically falling apart? Go to the city? Yeah, Don, I would. That's exactly what you do. But here's what I do first. Man, Don, your question gets highlighted, Don. Good job, Don. So what Don said here is actually right. Now, here is the process by which you do that. First, almost every city has a list that the building department or code enforcement puts out that talks about what thing is bad, what, that it's been violated, that they've sent them a letter, that they've done whatever. First thing I would do is I would comb through that. And usually it's searchable from some cities. Others, it's not. You literally have to look through it. Look for the address first. If it's something that's already on the list, what should you do then? You make them a target. You then say, you reach out to them and say, hey, I was wondering if you would ever consider selling your property. Introduce who you are. Hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. And wanted to reach out to you. I've seen, I've seen that this has appeared on the code enforcement's list a number of times. Just wanted to call and follow up and see if this was something you'd ever consider selling. It's something that I wouldn't do an inspection. I would, blah, 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 blah. I don't need to do inspections. We would take it as is. Let me know if that's something you'd at least be willing to have a conversation about. I've bought buildings this way. Yep. Teach it in the course. Bought buildings this way. Yep. I took the headache off their hands and I fixed it, and it wasn't that big of a deal. If they say no, okay, no is still fine. And then I would still call the city and say, hey, this is dilapidated. It's falling apart. It's a health and safety risk, close to the sidewalk, whatever, leaky roof, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I would go to the city. I would absolutely go to the city. I leave that as a last resort, and again, I'm not really much for policing other people's properties, but when the city's busting my stones, about nothing, I had the city give me a call about 4 mattresses that were left out in front of one of the buildings that I own. They weren't our 4 mattresses. We didn't do it. Somebody literally just used it as a dumping zone. So it was a quiet part of the road. So I talked to the city and I said, not ours. We didn't put them there. Somebody just decided to dump them there. I don't know why, but somebody just decided to dump them there. We're like, oh, okay, we'll take care of it. Sounds good. They took care of it. So that's kind of the idea. Let's see. Financial firefighter. You plan on watching the Iron Claw, the Von Erich movie? Yeah. I watched, so the stuff that interests me is the business behind it, because when you think about these guys really are entertainers. Now they're amazing athletes, but they're really entertainers as well. And so seeing just the maturation and how these guys come from nothing, like The Rock and Steve Austin and The Undertaker, and then the previous generation, Macho Man Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. That's what's crazy, right? It's Macho Man's gone and Ultimate Warrior's gone, and there's a lot of them that are gone, and it's it's hard, man. Imagine the abuse that puts on your body. Even if it's a choreographed thing, it doesn't mean it doesn't take a massive amount of athletic ability to bring that to fruition. Right. So that's what I think is crazy, but yes, great question. All right. I had that one. There we go. Back to me. Yes, Don, hold them accountable by asking them questions like, please explain how this broken down property is promoting a healthy community. Exactly. Leading question. Josh Kosher, do you ever upgrade appliances or something significant to a tenant before a tenant renews to make it feel more valuable? Does that help them renew? Will it keep them in the unit longer? Josh, that's a great question. Absolutely. That's curating the experience. What I do is I talk to the tenant, so if I'm looking at it and it's do they feel a water heater? No, they don't. They don't, unless you buy a better water heater that heats it up longer, faster, whatever, gives you more capacity so you can take longer showers, that sort of stuff. And so what we look at is we just say, hey, we're trying to put together our priority list for things that need to get addressed. Can you give me 1 or 2 things that you'd like to see taken care of? You'd be surprised. Sometimes I've gotten some people that said the place needs a brand new kitchen. If it does get a brand new kitchen, it's $500 a more a month in rent because you're way under market. So I'll do that for you, but expect your rent to go up. They're like, yeah, no, probably not the kitchen. Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to do that construction with somebody in the unit, but I would just ask the tenant. That's the big thing. Guys, tenants are people. We can have that conversation with them and just say, hey, we're trying to make out our plan for maintenance for next year. Wanted to just follow up with you and find out if there were a couple of things that you guys, could show us or talk to us about, or, just simply asking the tenant, do you guys have a couple of things in mind you'd like to see upgraded in the unit as part of your renewal? That's what I would do. And then just be careful, because the challenge is, right, is that they might say, well, yeah, a new fridge, $2,000 fridge. Here's the problem. That's all my profit for that year. That's not going to happen. So you can tell them, you know what, we'll go shopping. We'll see what we can put together. Then what are you doing? You're actually keeping your eyes open for scratch indents. You're keeping your eyes open for somebody that remodeled their kitchen 3 years ago, hated it, loved their fridge, has that $2,000 fridge, now is selling that fridge for $1,000. Now you can do that fridge for $1,000. That's the kind of stuff that we do, and where we believe in that return on capital, but the buck method. We're looking for used stuff all the time, especially in some of the really wealthy neighborhoods. I got a kitchen one time where the woman had just redone her kitchen 2 years earlier. She was like, I hate it. I hate the configuration. I don't like the appliances, blah, 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 blah. I bought that entire setup for $4,000. It was about a $20,000 kitchen just those couple of years before. I bought it for $4,000 to build and do that same exact thing. Now, was it a day's worth of work to get it all taken apart and put back together? Yeah, or 2 days worth of work, a day to take it apart and a day to put it back together. But what was my option? See, that's where I think we have a much, much better option in place. I think that it serves you a whole lot better doing things that way, looking for use, looking for value. That's where you're going to see massive returns on your investments. So great question, Josh. Hey, Matt, fellow Matt here. Welcome to the Matt Club. Just wanted to thank you for all your info share about self-managing. Has saved me tons of time and money. Cheers. Well, that gets you on the screen. Well done, Matt Wenner. I bet it's pronounced winner. I bet it is. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Guys, I do everything I can to not lose and give up this time on Sundays with you. I know that it helps you guys. I'm always happy to share my experiences and what costs me money. And yeah, if you want to take it to the next level, that's what I did the course for. The course is 9.5 hours of all of my stuff in one area where you can watch it at your own speed, your own pace, take notes. Some people have paid for the course once, which was what we want. Pay for the course once, they've taken it 5 times. That's what I want. That's what I want for you guys. I want you to take it as many times as you want. Make it, second nature up here and in here. So yeah, thanks very much for saying that. I'm glad that it's been so valuable to you. Hyder. Don, if city agents are cooperating with you and obviously breaking the spirit of the law, go pull their surety bonds to get them moving. That will motivate them. Man, he plays a different brand of ball, that Hyder. I feel bad for the town that you buy in. That's going to hurt some people. Karen Molnar, time to retire, Matt. I know, soon enough. We'll do it. We will. There's definitely a retirement coming. For me, I really want to make sure that I'm 100% ready. So some days I'm ready here. Some days I'm ready here. No days so far have I been ready in both places. And I really want to see the product that I spent, 16 years helping build. I would like to see it take off. I know I can play an integral role in that. I just have to, it's checks and balances, and really just have to continue to be thoughtful about, what the right path is. So I appreciate that, Karen. All-nighter. Simon does pick up on the nuances. He does. And that's what I love about it too, because I'll read the same thing. Like when he's sitting there screaming at his phone, talking about, not 2% target, 2% average. He's exactly right. They're looking for GDP to be, or for inflation to be 2% average, not target. So just because they get it to 2%, what were we last year? 5? Guess what that means? That means to get to 2, you got to be -1 as an average. That's why they're trying to break things. That's why they're going to hold on to dropping rates a lot longer than people think. A lot of people, these people forecasting in Q1, dude, nope, not going to be Q1 next year. Nope. Not unless there's war, not unless there's in our country and we're involved, legitimately involved, not just suppliers. But you will see that happen. And when that does happen, then that's what they'll do, because economic activity slows down when that stuff happens, except for defense contractors. And so that's what will be looked at. So there's obviously, outliers. I'm waiting for one of the outliers to happen, one of the really small, very thin chances of happening. And then some of the crash bros are like, yeah, see, we told you. It's like, yeah, but you didn't call it at all. It ended up where you hoped it would end up, but on none of the reasons that you did. That's why I give my reasons. I give my reasons because this is the formula that I'm using, showing you the math of how I think we get there. And so if we get there based on that math, then I was right. If we get there not based on that math, did any of what I said contribute to it? Maybe, maybe not. If it didn't, then I didn't have a proper formula. That's how it works. Unreal. Josh Burdick. Hola, everybody. And Matt, good morning. SK, it took 3 months to transfer Section 8 ownership and get rent raised approval. Now the tenant put in a notice to vacate. Is it worth the hassle to get another Section 8 tenant? If the unit's already approved, I would probably give it a shot. Yeah, I would probably give it a shot. If they gave it a notice to vacate, I would literally tell Section 8, hey, they just gave a notice to vacate. Do you have anybody that is whatever that unit is, 2-bed, 1-bath? Do you have anybody that's a 2-bed voucher? And then put them through your approval process. But again, I think the biggest issue is I don't necessarily make any unit specifically Section 8. I don't. I make it a great unit and then I market it accordingly. In December and January in my area, yeah, that's kind of tough. Won't lie. That's a bit of a challenge. However, that is path of least resistance. I'm having a quick conversation with the housing authority. Do you have anybody that's a 2-bedroom voucher? You could send me their information or give them my information. And then you'll have a couple of people reach out. I have probably 1 or 2 people a week reach out and I just respond back to them saying, hey, here's my application. Fill it out when we have something available. If they have a 720 credit score and they have a job and that sort of stuff, then guess what? Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually hunting to find them. Okay, what's the next thing I have coming available? If they're a 560 credit score, like the last tool bag that applied, I've just had some tough times. No. You don't pay your bills. I get you don't pay your bills. You don't. Nope. And with the way we do them, we don't include everything. We only get rent from Section 8. We make them pay for all their utilities. And so what's the likelihood that they're going to leave a big fat utility bill there? Now, I don't get stuck with it, but still, I don't want them having to leave under the threat of, well, I couldn't get, they can't get the service transferred out of their name to somebody else, right? Because the electric company is on for that. Our rates are partially as high as they are because of the number of people that leave without paying. That does happen, guys. Happens all the time. Electric company is a normal business and they can't shut off your electricity in the wintertime. They have to show a path, but they could be left with an $800, $1,000 bill. Okay, it's not going to break the electric company times 10,000 because they have 130,000 customers. That's a big number, right? There's your profit. And they're usually higher use units as well. So SK, to answer your question, I think that's a great question. To answer your question, I would talk to Section 8 and I would see what they might have with people with vouchers that might be coming available. Robert Fernelli. So basically I am closing on my 3rd property Friday. Thank God St. Mary's Bank is not stupid for once. Because of that, I want to get my current online ASAP, hence blown in versus cellulose. Yeah. Yep. It's not the wrong way of doing it. It's just the risk. So whatever in that particular case, it's not cutting a corner because cutting a corner would be putting nothing in there. That would be cutting a corner. So I think you're still doing it the right way. You're doing it the less expensive of the right ways. It's less right, but not wrong. And so it's kind of like disinflation versus deflation. So yeah, if I were in your shoes, Robert, that's what I would do. All-nighter hider bonds for the win. Oh, sweet Lord. There you go, guys. Get educated further. I love it. Yes, absolutely. Try to be civil and work with them first. Yes, true. That's the big thing, right? People like smart. They don't like clever. Keep that in mind. They don't like clever. Cities don't like clever. They don't. And so when you're clever with them, they remember it for everything. I know that there's landlords that the cities that I work in hate. They hate them. And is it because they're bad landlords? Some of them, it's just because they're super clever. And they're just like, and the issue is that you will consistently outsmart them on the clever, but there's going to be that time when you aren't more clever than them or where they take your clever ability out because that's what towns do. And then they do that. It's kind of like the Brady Tuck rule. They make a rule for you. I had a rule made for me. It was an okay rule. But that's the stuff that you got to watch out for. Booger Fartboy, thanks for introducing us on your channel. Makes us feel good. Booger Fartboy, I'm happy to have you guys. It's one big fun factory. Frank Contreras, Matt, good morning. Morning, Frank. One of my PMs said that they don't have an escrow account to hold tenants' deposits. Do I just hold it in an interest yielding savings account? Thank you. Frank, that is a great question. Get you on the screen. So there are rules around it. And I can't recall if they're federal or if they're state. I think they're federal. If you have more than 10 units, I believe that you have to have it in a separate account, and you don't have to have an account for each deposit. You can have one account that is security deposits where all your security deposits go. We have an account like that where all of our security deposits go into that account. Now, the challenge is that it has to be interest yielding, but there is no demand on what level of interest. For us, we want to make it easy. And so our bank doesn't necessarily have a high yielding savings account. So we just have it in a regular savings account. So the return is garbage, but we're following the law. It's in a separate account. And this allows us to, when we then cut the check, we transfer that into the, and this might be a wrong practice, but we transfer that into the property account where we then write the return of deposit back to the customer, because we don't want to have to manage another ledger. So we actually refund it out of our property account, would then transfer over when we do the return for a customer. Robert Farinelli. And on top of that, you can yell at me for this. I might. After I close, I want another unit in a little over a year because the unit I will be occupying is a student rental that I want to move out by March. Love it. So you won't need to move out by March in your student rental. What you will need to do is you will need to have it in under lease in March for move in June 1. That's what you're going to want to hit. You want to be marketing it in March for a move in June 1. It doesn't work like that way in the normal market, but those students will start looking in February and March. That's when they start looking because they know that they're going to be out the end of May and they want to know where they're going to live next year. And they might not want to live in the same place. They might want to live with different people. All of that stuff happens. We just had that happen in a deal where we had somebody that basically said, I just want to live with different roommates. And yes, Diet Coke, not Fresco. I'm kind of sad. We ran out of Fresco. Robert Finley, March 2025. Okay, if I miss that window, we'll still work as normal rental, but we'll hurt. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So yeah, tight money next year. I understand completely. Updated shorts in live stream format, Matt version 2.0. Yeah, it really is. Fantastic resource that working with Millennial Mike on. Guy's just fantastic. He does a great job. Give him some love. Give him some feedback. Tell him, hey, great shorts, way better than they used to be, if you believe that. So he does a fantastic job for us. One of the things that I'm a horrible YouTuber, great business guy, horrible YouTuber. And so I don't spend any time promoting the channel. I don't spend any time running ads or doing any of that stuff. I do a horrible job at even creating content. Bad at it. That's why I do the live stream with you guys every week. So that's why for us, live streams, 11:30 a.m. every Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time every Sunday. I want to take all of your questions about real estate investing, my portfolio, talk about your portfolio. I want to take all of those questions and do it free of charge because I want to have my 20 plus years experience help out people that are jumping on this journey as well. And I think it's an absolutely fun and fantastic thing to be able to be a part of other people's successful journeys and help them avoid some of the horrible, massive, awful, very costly mistakes that I've made throughout my real estate journey. So as you can always tell, hang out with the Lumberjack Landlord, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time every Sunday for a live stream where you guys can get all of your questions answered, or at least most. All-nighter hider. I named my boat Hull Hogan. Shut up. Send a picture. Shut up. I hope that's true. Send me a picture. That's awesome. There is a high correlation real estate investor in WWF. And yeah, it's a WWF, all right? Want to fight about it? Keith Boyer. Yeah, good show. LOL. The Ultimate Warrior was great too. He was awesome. Yeah, he was awesome. Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, I could never get my veins that thick or that tan. Jacob W. I attest to that, Matt. My dad is a GC and he got a bunch of stuff from people redoing kitchens and bathrooms and any supplies not used. That's so true. You guys can absolutely take a look at that stuff. You absolutely have the opportunity to get stuff. I look at used Facebook Marketplace. I look at Craigslist on the barter stuff. I look at everywhere. Building materials, that tab in Craigslist. I look at that stuff. I've bought stuff that way. I bought sandstone tile that was $120 per piece. It was a 2 foot by 2 foot piece. They were $120 per piece. I paid $9 because I bought what they had left over. $9 a piece. I did a kitchen and a bathroom in that, and it came out freaking awesome. Super high-end product. $9. So it was basically $250 a square foot. Porcelain in some cases would have been more expensive. And the stuff is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Hyder, thanks for sharing, Don. I agree. Hyder, I'm actually a nice, amicable guy. Love to smile and laugh. Just don't give any quarter to the state. I get it. Totally agree with you. I'm exactly the same way. You know what we call that, Hyder? We call that the silent assassin. That's what we call that. Hyder, agreed. I don't think they're itching to drop rates. They're building up room to drop. The transition takes time. Rates come with time lag. Absolutely. Hyder, 560. Damn, I do nothing and have a 760. That's the problem. I've seen in the threes. I've literally seen in the threes. Woo! Woo! I asked them, fair question. Are you allergic to paying your bills? And they laughed. And I said, I'm serious. Are you allergic? And they were like, what? I go, no, are you allergic to paying your bills? Like, why do you ask? I was like, you have a 300 and something credit score. You don't have any bill on your entire credit report that you pay on time. Every single one of them's late. Yeah, it's just been really hard. It's all consumer debt. So it's all debt that they put themselves into. Ash. Matt, took your tip to shop lenders and got an estimate for $3,000 less in fees with a local credit union. Now I've got a down payment for Gary. Awesome. That gets you. Oh, wait. Let me see how I do this. Hold on. There we go. That gets you on the screen. Oh, hey now. Phone's going off. Guys, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Guys, shop, man. Shop. Shop, 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 shop. Please, shop. Shop. You owe it to yourself. Now be honest. Don't lie, but you owe it to yourself. I just shopped the deal on my banker. She didn't get the deal. Somebody else got the deal. I'm not joking. She lost out on $1 million deal. And here's the thing. I hated taking it from her. Hated taking it from her. Hated it. But the gap was too big and I went with the other banker. And she understood. She understood. She's like, I understand. She's like, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do it if I were in your shoes either. So shop. Be respectful, be honest, but shop. Have that relationship that you always pull on, right? Have the relationship that you always pull on that you believe you can depend on. Have that. Because if no one else was going to be a taker, I still had another opportunity to still get my deal done. Excuse me. Key, good morning, sir. Just moved. Sorry. That was great, Frank, from Hyder. SK, if tenant in a fourplex complains about other tenant parking, his car too close to his big truck, making it inconvenient to take the truck out. As a landlord, what should my response be for this trivial issue? Great question. Just had one. I would send the offender, I would send them a quick email and just say, hey, noticed a couple times when I was there, when somebody else was there, parked really close to the neighbor's vehicle. We do want to make it easier for everybody else to kind of get in and out. If there's any way that you could just pay extra attention to that, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. And then see how it escalates. Like, you don't hit them over the head with what's in the lease. Just see how it escalates. You know, and a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, they're just going to be like, oh, sure, no problem. You know, or they're a different type of tenant and they're just like, well, you know, I'm completely parking within my rights. Then I answer back, you are, that's not a dispute. However, we want to make sure that if we can mention this to somebody, that we make sure that we do that. You know, it is something that we're seeing. We would ask you to remedy that. If it's not something willing to remedy, okay. And then that's just a mental note against that tenant. Like, guys, that's the way it goes. Like, this is a people business, right? You know, this is a people business. And when it is a people business, the key to that business is the people. And so I had another tenant that was parking in a parking spot that was meant for another unit. And then they were like confronting the other person. I was like, no, that's yours. And I sent them a note. I said, hey, that's not your place to park. Please park against the fence. This is their place. They're like, oh, sorry, didn't mean to start an issue. Yep, no problem. It's not an issue so long as it doesn't happen again. We're good. Thank you. Appreciate that. We're good. That's simple. So it's nipping it in the bud, SK. You're thinking the right way. Nip it in the bud. Get it done. And then you can move on. All-nighter. I was just speaking to my buddy's dad, who is a YouTuber. Okay. Uses a kid in the Philippines for $6 an hour to make his videos pro. I'll get contact info if you sure. This is the best I can do. I'm not an editor, won't ever be. This is the best I can do. What's really funny is every month I lose money on my YouTube channel. Literally lose money on it every month. Sure. Of course I do. I'm not a YouTuber. This is to give back. Forget about my time. That's not even billing out for my time. That's literally just for my time on YouTube. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Here to help. Sending photos soon. Cool. SK, what's your strategy and plan for acquisition in 2024? Or focus primarily in stabilization and optimization? It'll be the buck method. It'll be my best use of capital. What is my best use of capital in 2024? We've created a bunch of dry powder. So we've gotten back over the, our threshold, if you will. I won't share what that number is. We've gotten back over our threshold. We have money sitting there in dry powder, ready to move on a deal if it comes. We've got one deal right now that we're hoping we're going to close. Maybe we close this week. Maybe we don't. We're supposed to close Thursday. Hopefully we close. If we do, then it's going to be a while before I do a deal because that's a big one. But it's a big one that's just got a bunch of opportunity on it that I'll definitely be sharing with you guys for sure. I'll let you know this. I can't talk about it because it's got so much paperwork around it, but I'll let you guys know next weekend. If we closed, and if we did, I'll walk you through the entire deal, just like I did my best deal ever. This deal has a nuance of it that would be my best deal ever. And so again, that just what does that come from? That comes from doing deals and understanding how to put a deal together. It's awesome. Last night I spent 40 minutes with another investor, a big investor, a couple hundred units, where we just kind of traded stories back and forth for the 40 minutes. And he picked up a couple things. I picked up a couple things, because admittedly there are things as you get larger, there are things that you find out that are different and new. And so, this is why we talk about the boot camp so much in my course. Those are, 15 people in one boot camp, 15 people in another boot camp, and they now have a user group where they get together twice a month and talk about and do accountability stuff. That network that you get access to just by taking the course and doing the Lumberjack boot camp, the fact that you get 24 hours in the boot camp, so it's 9.5 plus the 24 hours, but then you get access to that like after course stuff. I'm not any part of it. Every once in a while I can show up and I can speak there, but not very often. Because it's really about them. It's all about what I go to listen to what these guys are talking about, and how they're doing. So it's food for the soul for me, because people are still buying properties. People are still doing deals. People are finding off market stuff. People are finding more creative stuff like what I've done. So it's just a really awesome thing to be a part of. Ninja Vanish 24/7. Ultimate Warrior was my favorite. Yes. Loved his intensity. Yes. I bought a signed picture when he passed away. I get it. I have figures. Yes. Get it. Yep. I know. So funny, right? Let's see. BuzzTune. Hey, Matt, what would your entrance song be for a real estate conference? I guess you're going to find out, huh? We do have the conference. We do have the one rental at a time conference coming up in February. So maybe I'll have to get me some walk-in music. That's so ridiculous. And if you watch my live stream, you'll be laughing. If you don't watch my live stream, you'll be like, who does this jerk think he is? That's really funny. SK, if tenants never complain about issues, do you still inspect the property regularly for electric, plumbing, appliances, etc., and update for long-term benefit? Yes, I absolutely do. I gotta know. I gotta put eyes on it at least once a year. Just put eyes on it for some reason. I gotta put eyes on it. If it's a higher activity tenant, then we're putting eyes on it more often. If it's a normal tenant, yeah, I still want to put eyes on it. Just something. Hey, we just want to do a quick check before the winter time. Quick double check of everything, make sure everything's all good. And we still find stuff. We find stuff that might be an issue. Okay, yeah, we can. And they spend a couple hours taking care of this, that, or the other. Whatever. Because we still want them to have a good experience. Josh Coster, what's an example of being clever versus being smart? Doll hairs, dollars, trying to think of something off the top of my head. Clever versus smart. I don't know. I have to think about it. I try not to do clever things. That's why I try and do smart things, not clever. Just clever rubs them wrong. Just has. So I'll try and think of something. Robert Fernley saved a lot of money buying used tools at yard sales instead of buying overpriced batteries. Buy a small extension cord and a power pack. True. You can do that too. Yep. Ninja Vanish 24/7. I have had great success with Bankrate. Yep. It compares lenders for the best rate. Then you can contact the top 3 for your scenario and location. Yeah, those services are good. The only challenge can be is I don't think it was Bankrate, but I think there was another one out there, and they basically rank you based on how much you pay them. So there are better ones to find. It depends on if they're pure web crawler, and web crawler means that they go out on the web and they crawl all these different sites to find you that best thing or that best rate. But yeah, that's no doubt Bankrate. I've used Bankrate in the past for sure. When I was smaller, didn't have the local bank experience, knowledge, contacts. I used a Bankrate. I used stuff like that. Quite frankly, outside of a local small bank that you're doing business with, Rocket Mortgage is probably one of the best. I did some Rocket deals. I really loved their process, but then I got too big and they won't do anything over 10 users. So yeah, I really like their stuff. And these corded tools have a lot more power than the batteried. Get a 12 amp high output battery and you'd blow your mind. The normal batteries, yeah, but those high output batteries are properly stacked. Yeah, I would absolutely use the big batteries. Josh Kosher, also, do you have a website listing upcoming properties, or is that all through Doorloop? Do you have a website listing upcoming? No, I don't. Nope. No, it's too tough to maintain that. Kind of when we know it's coming, because what we want to do is when somebody's given their notice, we're then going to go through and say, hey, on this date, we're going to do pictures. We'll be in there for literally 20 minutes. Please just make sure it's generally clean, i.e. picked up. And then we take those and we post them everywhere. And then we just say, hey, we're going to take 2 hours on a Saturday, do an open house. Because very often, all of that happens within 30 days. And so we have 3 more units coming. And those 3 units that we have coming, that's what we're going to do. We take pictures, get them online. We have one person that their rent was just outrageously low, and they're a Section 8 tenant. Their rent was outrageously low and the standard's nowhere near where it needs to be. And so we had to just give them notice saying, hey, 60 days, we're going to $3,000 a month. We're not going to do the housing standard at $2,600. It's $400 a month. It's $5,000 a year. So we're not doing that. So then she started getting an attitude and be difficult. She was like, well, then I'm just going to move. Yeah. Well, that's kind of the point. You can work with Section 8 and pay more, but you can't. And so from our perspective, it was really, I can't lose as much money this year on that unit as I did last year. Let's see. Robert Farinelli. Some sold me a half a gallon of Benjamin Moore ceiling paint for $3 at a yard sale. Yeah. See, there you go. All nighter. Feel free to share a pic on the screen. That boat made me a boat builder, owner, and captain all at once. I love that. I'm not going to tempt fate this week, Hyder, but I'm going to find a way to do it next week. Let me see if I can share that. Oh man, that is cool. I like it. I will share it. I just have to find a way that I can share it and not blow everything up. Don Church, after I get out of this money pit I bought, I will take your course. I understand. On the tin ceiling being used for backsplash, do you just use construction adhesive to secure to the wall? I have it coming this week. Awesome. That's great news, Don. No, you can, they make special headed nails. They're very small headed nails that are really great. You can look at how to nail in metal, the tin ceiling. But look at those little metal nails. You can buy them. You don't need to buy them from the tin ceiling company. They're super expensive. You can buy them. Just look at what they are. Look at the design of them, because it has like kind of a ornate but bulbous head that doesn't look odd when used. And so what we do is we just use those. The other thing you can do too is you can also use like a tacking brad nailer. That's a little bit more difficult because if you know where you attached it, you can usually see it. But these little nail things is what they come with, or what you can buy for them. And so we just tack it with a couple of those nails in. Yep. One in each corner. But we can pick, or wherever we can pick up the stud. Wherever we can pick up the stud is what's been a great use so far. So yeah, just those little nails that come with it. Booger Fart Party. How many times can you do a credit check before it affects my rating? You can, your very first one, it affects it. It's usually like 5 points. But if you're doing hard, ask them first, soft inquiry, hard inquiry. If it's a soft inquiry, it doesn't affect it at all. If it's a hard inquiry, it could be 5 points. It starts to get bad when you get over 2 in a year. So if you're shopping for a house, you do it within 30 days of each other. When they see that it's the same type of search, then you're fine. That's typically how it works. Dig that, Robert. $3 for a half gallon is like 80s pricing. True story, Hyder. Ain't that the truth? Yes, Don, tight bond is a go-to. Yep, it is. Yep. Also use dabs instead of a long line of adhesive. Separate dabs don't peel like a line of adhesive can. True. So we've used some of that stuff. The downside is that if you ever do need to change it, it can be kind of brutal. It can be kind of brutal if you ever have to change it. And for us, one of the things that we'll do is after somebody's been there for a year or two, if they're still planning on staying or they want to do a 2-year lease, we'll be like, hey, we can, would you like us to like customize the backsplash for you? Something like that. That's something we're going to try, kind of make it feel more personal and homey to them. So that's definitely something we're looking into. See if we do that with some folks. And if we can detach it just by literally pulling and popping a couple of those nails versus an adhesive, it'll save us time, money, effort, and energy putting that together. I'm like, are there other speaking events between now and February you'll be speaking at? Yes. Yes. Like last night we reached agreement with Christian and Cody Multifamily Strategy. I will be presenting at their January event at the Robin Hood Resort. I don't have details on that yet, other than it's in January and it's at the Robin Hood Resort. Mike, you can put it in there if you want. I don't know what I think it's the 20th of January, maybe. I think it's the 20th. All-nighter hider. Clever versus smart is an attitude approach in my mind. Virtually the same words can be spoken, but the attitude determines clever or smart, thorough. Yeah, I think that the clever piece becomes like, it is how you present it. But it's kind of like, it's like technicality type of stuff. And that's what they don't like, right? They don't, because what you're doing is you're showing them up. This is their job. It's what they do every single day. You're playing in their world. And so when you teach them something, it's really hard to teach something to somebody in a position of authority. Largely speaking, they got into that role because they like authority and they like not being questioned. That's where that becomes that rub. That's why I hired the attorney to do the presentations. I can present, but he can do a better job, I think, long-term relationship wise. Genuine inquiry versus accusational inquiry. Yes. Always asking though. He who is asking is as king. Get it? Yep, exactly. That's exactly right, Hyder. Hyder explained it better than I did. SK, if Section 8 tenants vacating January end, can I still ask Housing Authority today to get applications, show them the house while the tenant is still there? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You absolutely should be doing that. Yep. When my agent talks about, oh, well, it needs to be this, that, and the other need to be done. And, you're going to have to have it vacant for a month. What are you, high? And the new tenant needs to move in. What you have to do is you have to set the expectation. So we'll have the cleaning done on the 1st or the 2nd. That way the new tenant knows, hey, listen, you're going to create dust. You're going to create a mess, blah, 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 blah. Here's what we're going to do. When you guys move in, after you guys are moved in, we'll get the professional cleaners to come through, make it perfect for you. We're going to make it nice and right and tidy. And so we'll get it nice and good and ready for those guys. And then they experienced the super clean. They got the super clean. They experienced the super clean. That's how they're going to leave it. And if they don't, they know they're going to pay me because I hire a cleaner to come in and redo the work. So yes, do that. Ninja Vanish, like button reminder. Thank you, Ninja Vanish. John Church, awesome. Thanks. You're very welcome. Financial Firefighter, Lumberjack, Nick Foley. Yeah, oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, Kid Zuber, Flair, Dion, George the Animal Steel. Foley. Mankind, yeah. Yes, true story. True story. Flavio McKee, it's good to have you here. I want to be there. I'm close to Seattle. Flavio, check out the event. It is a multifamily strategy, and it's one of their, I think it's a mastermind. I don't know if it is or not. But yeah, I will be presenting. LOL. I like your explanation. YouTube comments are very limiting on full context. It's true. Yeah, like I said, I think the biggest challenge that we have, it's just really hard, right? They're in a position of power. They're supposed to know it better than you. And so they look like jerks when you know it better than them. And so I like to use fewer words to get my point across. And that is seen as abrupt and abrasive and things like that. And the attorney is being paid to make it flowery and nice and not aggressive and, matter of fact. And well, as we were going through this process, and this was something we were understanding, I can get there. That's a lot of time, effort, and energy for me. And I'll just let him who does this all the time do it. And I'll just pay the money. Let's see. SK. In 2024, does it make sense to buy properties that need rehab before renting or for forced equity, or better to get turnkey for less headache, as Grant Cardone says? Yeah. We'll see how it turns out for Grant. We'll see. I'm not wishing his failure. I think he's awesomely entertaining. He really is. But we're not Grant Cardone. It's not us. I'm looking for value add. If you have turnkey investors, if you have an investor normally, or you have a homeowner normally, right? They want turnkey. That's why you can get a premium. Why would I want to pay a premium to get an asset when I'm worried about the margin? My best bet in creating margin, I don't want to do 100 properties. I want to do the 20 best, highest income producing properties. So I'm never doing something for the sake of doing a project. I look at them now, and if I'm doing a deal right now, or if like I've done for the last 3 years, mainly, when the strategy was not grow, the strategy was really, I'm only going to do amazing deals. That's what I've done. Only amazing deals. And there's been projects and value add That's where we've had more in the stabilization camp than to the optimization side. So we've had more projects in the last 3 years than we did in the previous 10. But it was because we acquired a number of properties for an amazing price for tons of value add. That's why my returns are well into the 20s. Year one, they're in the 20s. And small multifamily, not single family stuff. So, Millennial Mike, his rates, high teens, low 20s. The only caveat to that is it's on a smaller number because it's a single family house. So for me, I like the expensive, multifamily duplex, triplex, quads. Like a duplex where we are, one of mine just appraised for 630 grand. That's a duplex. It's a duplex, 630. A 4-unit just sold for $1,150,000. A 6-unit just sold for $950,000. That was a massive value add. Now at the 950, you could spend a couple hundred, get to the 1 million, to get to the 115, and it's going to be an amazing building for that guy. The one that did it was just like, nah, I bought the asset. It's crazy now. I'm just going to sell it, and did a great, and it worked out for him. Yes, Robin Hood Resort. Yes. January 20th in Washington State, Dion Lumberjack and myself will all be speaking at Cody and Christian's event. Yes, that's true too. At the Robin Hood Resort. Yes. Don Church. Anila off the top of the cage on to Don Morocco. Saw live as a kid in Baltimore. That's cool. That's cool. We didn't have enough money to go see that stuff. And my mom wasn't going to take me. Let's see. Don Church. Snook off the top of the cage onto Don Morocco. Yeah. Yep. I was going to say Anila. Yeah. Snooka. Yeah. Superfly. All-nighter. Turnkey seems like a beginning investor's route. Yep. And value adds for those with a bit more experience. That's exactly right. Frank Contreras says that as well. Frank's exactly right as well. That really is the beginner's way, right? The idea is that you can do it that way. It's just harder. It's harder to buy something retail and have it cash flow. MLS is not retail. It isn't. MLS turnkey is retail. It's retail. It's retail ready, And so what we're looking for is we're looking for value. That's what I'm looking for. One of the things that I said to one of my guys was, he goes, man, you buy some real dumps. I do. He goes, why are they all so bad? And I was like, how much money does it cost me to demo to studs a D property? He goes, I don't know. I said, demo to studs, maybe 10 to 20 grand. 10 to 20 grand. Hold on. This one contractor knows I'm on a live stream. Guy every weekend. And so when we look at a deal and you break it down and you're paying that retail, you're paying that price, right? You're buying retail off of MLS. When I'm talking to that contractor and I said, hey, so what's it cost me to demo a D? And he's like, I don't know, 10, 20 grand. Right. Exactly. What's it cost me to demo a B? I don't know, 10 to 20 grand. It cost me exactly the same thing to demo it. If that B property is not that nice, and everything is clean but dated and it's built and done in the 70s and blah, 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 blah. You know what? If I want to pay all that money to upgrade it, because here's what happens. That D versus that B, what was the difference in price? 10%, 15%, 20% when they sold it. I'd rather take that 20% discount and gut it and make the A than take the B. And then what am I going to do with the B? I'm still going to have to spend a bunch of money. So for me, I go to a D. For you guys, you can absolutely go to a B or a C and maybe do some upgrades. So it's in a B area, C quality product. That's what we talk about in the rent box, right? You want to buy in a nicer area with a lower quality product that you can then upgrade to then have it an appetizing or delightful curated unit for that B area. Don Church, Snooka. Yeah. Yes. Booger Fartboy, what tips can you give for value add? Thanks. So, there's a video on my channel, Booger Fartboy. that is, it basically shows like electrical upgrades. So one of the things that we do is we kind of run the scale. So are we going to do paint? Are we going to do paint and floors? Are we going to do paint and floors and like light packages and switch and outlet packages? Are we going to do all of that and then add a kitchen? Are we going to do all of that and then like refinish and do countertops? Are we going to change out the vanities? Are we going to, what are the things that are the most atrocious of the unit and date it the most? Those are the things of kind of value add where you can pick on the scale. Hey, if I come in here, fridge is good. Okay, cool. So if we, as we're looking at these projects, we're trying to also understand, okay, if I put X in, what does that get me out? A unit that somebody just left, they were paying $1,295 a month on. No joke, $1,295. If I do nothing to that unit, I can get $2,200, $1,000 a month more. And we didn't push them out. We were nice. So I can get $1,000 a month more. If I do $10,000 to $12,000 worth of work, I can probably get $700 more on top of that $1,000. It's that big of a difference. That $700 times 12 months, we're talking about $8,400. If I spend 10, then my return on my capital is just over a year. Those are awesome numbers anywhere you slice it, because now the unit's upgraded, it's updated. We did those, we did the flooring, we'll do the paint, we'll do blah, 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 blah. So as we go through that process, as we do that work, right? Now, when they leave, now we don't have to do anything except for touch-ups and things like that, but we'll graduate from that old rent to what the new rent is. Maybe it's flat, maybe it's slightly inclined, maybe it's slightly declined, just don't really ever see that. But let's say it's just plateaued. It's going to rent out faster. It's going to rent out to a better quality tenant because people see the pictures and they're just like, damn, I love your pictures. Get it. Get it. Always get that feedback on my real estate pictures. Never get that feedback on my OnlyFans account. Not quite sure why. But those are the value add tips. Booger Fart Boy is, flooring, painting, lights, light fixtures, outlets, outlet covers. There's a bunch of small things, upgrading the sink, then looking at doing faucets and those sorts of fixtures, spraying the bathtub. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you should be following me on Instagram. I posted a picture. Here's the before, here's the after. We did that bathtub for a little over $1,000. And that made a bisque colored 30-year-old, crappy looking bathroom, turn it into brand new, bright white. Looks like we just put in a brand new surround. You can't top that, right? And again, that was part of this particular unit was about a $10,000, $12,000 budget, right around there. And it went from that unit was previously rented for right around 11 and now it's $1,995. So it's $900 a month more based on a high quality unit, but we got a great tenant in there, 700 credit scores, 5x incomes. It's perfect. It's great tenant. They'll be there for a couple of years. And so just from that one tenant, $900 a month times 12. So 10,800. I'm going to cover my cost. I'm going to cover my costs in 1 year. That second year, that's an extra $10,800 in profit. And that's what we want to see. We want to see that bigger number because that's what the bank is going to look at to figure out the health of your business. They want to see higher incomes. They're not sitting there going, yeah, this is really kind of just under market. They have no idea. 90% of bankers have no effing clue what market rent is. 90% of them at these small banks have no clue. So when you're able to show them this big, huge number, they're like, man, those numbers are outrageous. Those are crazy, blah, blah, blah. Yep, they are. But that's the opportunity that you guys have to create the value. That's what we want to do. We want you guys creating that value. So those are the types of things. SK, if equity tied up in all my properties, how can I get capital for new acquisitions? I'm trying lower down payment with seller financing route, but barely options pop up in my market. That's exactly that. That's always the stopper there. The only thing that you can do, and is in the beginning, the first 5 years, really you need to pace yourself, because if you get out of those first 5 years with a bunch of issues in all of your buildings, guess what? You're going to be chasing those forever. There becomes a time where you start investing the buck method. This is where I say I can go buy another unit and I can get 12%, or I can upgrade my units and the 10 grand that I put into them is going to get me a 30% more a year return. That's where it's really important that you do that. It's a matter of acquisition, but also stabilization and optimization. So SK, not an attack on you. This is just how I think of it. And so I want to kind of walk you through it. I acquire a property, my returns are going to be 15, 18% if I acquired it at this point. When I was new in my beginnings of doing this, they weren't anywhere near that. They were like 10%, 8%. They were right around there. That's what you could get in my market. But I was buying stuff, rough stuff. So 8 to 10% returns. That's where the opportunity comes, is that in making the investment over a 24-month period, you're going to upgrade your tenant, you're going to upgrade your unit, you're going to get more money on the balance sheet. And again, you want to see those returns. That's the most important thing. This is a tenant that is a challenge right now. Some people. This is the other thing that sucks too, is that sometimes when somebody's told you, hey, I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up, and then they don't. What a pain in my ass. So yeah, that's a challenge. But yeah, lastly on that, SK, is you want to be looking at creating the healthiest business, not the fastest growing as far as number of doors. The idea is the best profitability. That's what you want to focus on. You want to focus on making sure that, because when you go to take the next step, you don't want to have all of this stuff rearing its ugly head, because it's that death by 1,000 cuts that over time will slow the growth of your business down, because you're having to spend too much time fixing things and taking care of this and taking care of that. And they're known issues. They're known issues. So that becomes the problem. Yep. Know your numbers and be liberal with your estimates. Absolutely. Business plan A, keep the buyers. Yep. Section 8, welcome. Thanks, All-Nighter Hider. All-Nighter Hider, thanks for the knowledge, Matt. You're very welcome. I'm excited to see where this community of investors will be in 10 years. We're all going to be super badass. That's true. That's true. Where will we rent out? We got to rent out to this awesome place. I don't know. I'll be retired by then for sure. But yeah, we'll do something. I mean, I don't know. I don't even look at what my subscribers are. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something at 10,000. I don't know. But for me, I want this community of, landlords that wants to self-manage. Even if you use a property manager, I want you to know how to manage that property manager. You got to know how to manage them. That's going to save you money. What I want to see is people holding on to their assets. There's going to be a downturn. There's going to be a bad economy. There's going to be an issue there for sure. There's going to be an issue. The question is, we want to make sure that you're holding on to those properties, that you're not feeling the stress of, hey, if one person stops paying, that's all my profit on my 6 units. That's scary. That's a daunting task. So that's one of those things to think about. SK, how do you keep up with the constant perennial stress from tenants and contractors while building your portfolio and doing a W-2? I'm broken. That's the only answer that I have for you, is I'm broken. It's exhausting. I work a lot. A lot. I structure my family time, so I make sure that I get it. And then I always have something I'm working on. Always, like answering this text on, trying to get an electrician out to fix an electrical unit. It's life. It's the way it goes. So that's one of those. That is one of those things. But yeah, I mean, it's just how much can you handle, right? And so the thing for me is that, I'm 46 now. I don't look too stressed. I don't think. Like, I don't have a ton of gray hair, and any gray hair that I do have, it's probably from Tenants. Yeah. I mean, gray hair. No, I think I'm good. I got some, I'm sure. But it's really just taking it in stride, which is being patiently impatient, recognizing that some things take time and you just need to be looking at the next step. The problem that most people have is SK, when they look at it, like boiling the ocean. I have to tenants and contractors and building my portfolio and my job and blah, 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 blah. When you look at it, all things, it's just be focused and in the moment of what you're doing, and recognize that there's probably a better system for how you run it. If you've taken my course, the thing in there about documenting your unit takes a ton of stress off your shoulders, but you've got to properly document your unit. When you do that, yeah, it's a game changer, complete and total game changer, because it drastically reduces the amount of time that I need to spend taking care of stuff like that. So, all-nighter hider, so on board with you that 10 years. Yeah, guys, it's going to be awesome. That's why I like working with newer investors. It's going to be awesome. I can help out big guys too. What's really funny is that one of the consulting companies that I had talked to, they said, what you really need to do is, with all your experience, you need to focus solely on people that are 50 units and greater and then charge them a fortune. I was like, I don't want to do that. They're like, why? I was like, because I can make the same difference for them if they just watch the same content that I have for people that are at 0 or 1. And I was like, and who's going to help the guy at 0? They're going to have to self-manage. They can't hire a property manager out of the gate. They can't. They're likely not going to be able to afford that. And they have no idea how to manage that property manager, make sure they're getting what they need out of that property manager, and that property manager is doing what they should be doing to get that money to show up. Like, that's the big thing. So I much rather be in there with people with 0, 1 through 20 is really where I have the most fun. If you're over 20, you kind of got a feel for it. You kind of know what you're doing. So I can help you out in some different ways. And some of the stuff that you do at 20 and 30 and 50 and 100 is different than what you're doing at 0. But if you set up your business from the get in order to scale, that's the power of this. That's why documenting your unit, that's why tenant selection, forms in place, lawyers in place, leases in place. Everyone's like, oh, well, just try it. Yeah, you can just try it. But if you have those things in place and you do them right from the jump, then guess what? You have a firm foundation of how you're going to build your business. And now you don't have to go back and do I got to go back. I have properties that I did literally 14 and 15 years ago that still look amazing. They look amazing. Little touch-ups here and there, but they look amazing still. The number of calls that I get on maintenance there, almost none. Almost none. This year, in one of them, it was like, I looked at it, it was the first issue that we had there in 3 years. And that was a unit that we redid. 3 years, one issue. So if you build your portfolio that way, where you're not always trying to eke out the last year of a water heater, you're not trying to always eke out the one more year of this and one more year of that, and just a few more years. If you're not trying to do that, then you don't end up with hey, our water heater exploded. Hey, our heat system died. When do you find out a heat system died? In the wintertime, when it couldn't run anymore and it finally gave up the ghost. And then what do you have to do? Rush. I got to put $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 into that. That's where it ends up becoming the problem. So that's where I think that you get a lot of momentum out of doing it right on the upfront, making sure the unit is good on the upfront, having taken care of any of those nagging issues upfront. That drastically reduces. How do you think I can manage 137 units and have a full-time job? It's because my phone's not always ringing. Because we'll go and we'll fix and we'll do and we'll blah, blah, blah. But a lot of our units were gutted. That's why I love all the units that we're bringing online. We have 5 more units that will be online in March or April. And we have the jail, which will be 8. And that will be like June, July timeframe. So think about that. Those are going to be 14 more units. What is it? 8 and 5, 13 more units. Those 13 more units are going to be cash producing. I already have the debt now. They're going to be cash producing then. It's going to make that much more money then. But the cool thing is after the first 30 days and you work out whatever weed needs to be worked out, based on it being new and just getting used, I'm then on to the next one. And I can do that because I don't have the anchors of what I call the sins of the past keeping me behind. That's where that return on capital metric SK comes in, and the buck method. It does make sense to spend $8,000 or $10,000 in a unit to get more rent to reduce the number of calls that I have to go out there and take care of, because that frees me up. It leaves me less encumbered to take on the next deal. That's why most places, most landlords, they get to 10 and they're completely over their skis. They're just like, this is brutal. Why? Because they've taken all the sins of the past and carried them into the future. So they're constant. It's that constant death by 1,000 cuts. That's why if you just handle the business and build a solid performing business with good, strong units, well maintained, it drastically reduces the amount of drag by which you encounter when trying to grow your business. LOL BuzzTune, we may not be all be in the States, but we will be super badass. That's pretty funny. Yeah. Where are you going, Hyder? Helping beginners makes more winners to create a stronger society overall. I agree. Yep, I agree with that. I agree. I concur. Kurt C, thank you very much for the super chat. Matt, another great Sunday, great information. Appreciate it as always. Kurt, you're very welcome. I'm glad you came. SK, in your multi-unit properties, I'll do this as a last question. In your multi-unit properties, does tenant conflicts resolution dominate your mind share instead of maintenance issues? No, I don't think so. 80% of the tenant conflict that we have. So this is something. 80% of the tenant conflict that we have is with subsidized tenants. That's not a feeling about subsidized tenants. That is a factual numbers in our system and what it shows. If you are a subsidized tenant, you are 80% of our flow of, I have an issue that you need to resolve with a neighbor, another tenant, a blah, blah, blah. It's crazy. It's crazy. The numbers bear that out. My 3 worst tenants right now, are all non-market tenants. They complain about their neighbors the most. They complain about the apartment the most. Meanwhile, I have other people in the same exact apartments, the same exact ones in the same building. And they just bitch. It is constant. Okay. It's clearly you, not the unit, because I have 11 other people that love their unit, pay their rent on time, have no issues. And that neighbor is a shared neighbor. There's somebody across the hall from them. There's somebody across the wall from them on the party wall. You're not the only one. So if it's constantly you, it's kind of you're the problem. So hopefully that's helpful. So guys, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic weekend. And thanks so much for taking the time to spend this with me today. As I said, it looks like the new technology went off without a hitch. Super excited to see if I blow up anything when I shut this thing off. But it's a pleasure as always. As I always say, we try and create great content for you guys. Watch over the next coming weeks. We've got some more updates coming from you guys. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Really appreciate you guys as always. And hopefully you guys have a fantastic week of investing and getting better. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.